So welcome to the interview, I guess.
I feel so welcomed.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, so we've got 14 questions to ask
All
you.
right.
They're kind of in depth. So, okay, the first one. Can you tell me what kinds of ideas go into your creative writing?
Kinds of ideas. All sorts of things. Things that I observe around me, people that I meet, dreams that I have.
Mm-hmm.
A lot will come from imagining situations or scenarios and then going, oh, that would make a cool story idea.
Okay. So how do you spend most of your time when you're like working or when you're not working? Or just most of your time.
Well, sorry, what?
How do you spend most of your time, whether you're working or not? Like, yeah.
Just how do I normally spend my time?
Yeah. Really weird interview.
Well, when I'm working, I'm drawing mostly, since what I'm doing right now mostly is comics. So I spend a great deal either sketching pages or inking pages or coloring pages.
Okay.
And if I'm not working, then I'm generally watching TV or internet stuff.
Well, I can relate to
All the YouTubes.
right? Like, it's like my third life. Um, so I don't know how well this is going to apply to you, but the question is, what would you do if you were in a situation like me, like attending college and one day want to be a very successful novelist who writes fantasy?
Could you repeat it again? Sorry, there's a lot of background noise, so.
What would you do if you were in a situation like me where I was like, because I'm attending college as a local student who wants to one day become a successful fantasy novelist? What would you do if you were in that situation, just like not sure how to get there?
I would start one by reading the book Drawing Out the Dragons by James A. Owen, which is incredibly inspiring. And then two, just doing everything that you can to get your work out there, no matter what you're doing. Because if you can get it out to where people can see it and where people can enjoy it, then someone out there will like it. And if that someone can become, two people, and two people to three or four or 10, 15, 100, 200, 1,000, you can build an empire on that. It's just all about getting your work out there.
Okay. Okay, well, my mom said we actually just ordered
because your mom recommended that we ordered that book.
Ah, yes. Did you do the Kickstarter?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yep. Yeah, did I tell did you guys hear I met the author this summer?
No.
Jane Austen?
No, that
James Owen.
Jessica. Wahoo?
James Owen.
Oh.
The guy who wrote that book, Drawing Out the Dragons.
Why did I say Jane Austen?
Because Jane Austen's also really cool, but I think she's dead, so it'd be a bit hard to meet her. But
impressive.
I met Jane Austen. It was a weird summer. But no, I met James Owen. We were road tripping out through California and Nevada and Arizona, and Mom looked up and found out his studio was in Arizona, and so she was like, "Find out if you can message him or something." So I found his Facebook and sent him a message. It was like, "Hey, I'm a fan of your work. I'd love to meet you and see your studio. Can I take you out to lunch when I'm in Arizona?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
So cool.
free food.
But yeah, I got to meet him and tour his studio, which was so cool because he's Mormon. His studio is actually his ward building from when he grew up. He bought it because it was run down and he fixed it up. And so he was giving us this tour of all these crazy cool rooms that he had full of books and supplies and all this stuff. He's like, "Yeah, this used to be my Sunbeams classroom," or "This is where we had Pinewood Derbies," It was really cool. But yeah, I actually asked him the same thing because at the time this past summer I was trying to figure out where I was going to go with my education and my creative work. Because at the time I applied this past spring to the animation program at BYU and did not get in. Which meant either I could wait a year to apply or I could change majors or something. And I was engaged to Patrick at the time too, and he's graduating in December, so I was trying to figure out where I was going to go and what I was going to do with that. And so meeting James Owen, I showed him my work. It was actually really cool because I pulled out the anthology of Nuzruk and handed it to, because I was like, can I show you my first work that I did? Because he gave me a copy of his very first comic book that he ever did when he was 16.
Wow.
And yeah, it was super cool. He's just a really cool guy. We spent, we were planning on being there for an hour or so, just touring his studio and chatting with him. It was just cool to meet him. But I'm like, can I show you my first work that I really, did? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I pulled out Nuzruk and handed it to him. And he's like, holy cow, that's a brick. And he was just so impressed with that we got talking about my career, about my options. We ended up staying at his studio just talking for 6 hours about options and things like that. And I told him, the whole story of my current project, Dragon Tree, which is an incredibly spiritual journey for me, how that story came about. It's pretty nuts. It's all stories come from God, but this one was Heavenly Father dropped it on my head in a handbasket. It's crazy. Just how meaningful this story is, and it keeps getting more meaningful as my life moves on. And it's this is nuts. But I told him to the story of Nuzruk, how I did that project, and in 2 years I did that whole comic, and I told him about trying to get into the animation program, and he said, when I asked him, with my current problem, what should I do here? Should I wait around a year and apply again? Should I, change majors or something? And he said, well, honestly, hearing everything you've told me and seeing your work that you've already done, the time that you would spend in academia would be better spent doing what you're already doing.
Thank you.
Because you're already doing it, and you've already proven that people will like what you do, and that there's an audience there, and that you can do this. You don't need to go to school to learn how to do this. You're doing it. So, and I was like, well, golly, I never thought of that. I'm going to drop out of school. Haven't totally dropped out of school because I do want to take, there's certain classes I want to take, with marketing and things like that. But basically he said, and as far as a program goes, you don't need a program. Your abilities would be wasted in a program. Your potential is unfathomable at this point. You would be wasted there. What you need to be doing is comics, because you're doing amazing stuff just for fun. Imagine what you could be doing if this was what you were doing.
Yeah.
So, it was really cool, amazing, life-changing experience. But just one of the biggest takeaways from it that I got, amongst a million other takeaways, was just the importance of doing what it is that you want to do and not waiting. There's no such, well, it's not there's no such thing as good enough, but you're good now. If you can create, do it now. If there will come times that you can learn and grow, and your craft is obviously going to improve as time goes on. But James, in his book Drawing Out the Dragons, you'll read when you get that book because it's awesome, but he talks about his story. He started his career, the way he looks at it, he started it as a career when he was 13 years old. Because that was when he decided, I'm going to be a comic book artist. And so he started doing everything within his power to do that. And then he decided, as he went along, he did things he got a bank loan and went to San Diego Comic-Con with his very first comic book that he ever did when he was 16, and people bought it. And now he owns his own studio and is doing all these amazing, incredible things. And he wrote the Here There Be Dragons books.
Oh, I think Jim read those, or one of them.
Oh yes, they're fantastic books. I need to get caught up because he came out with some while I was on my mission. But pretty much he didn't wait. He just went ahead and did it. And as time went along, experiences in life, Heavenly Father led him to the places he needed to be and the places he needed to go so that he could do this,
Mm-hmm.
And life is like that. Don't wait for someone to tell you your work is good enough. Don't wait until, someone says that they want it. If no one wants it, go out and prove that people want it. Like with that Kickstarter he did, that first book, Drawing Out the Dragons, which was a book that changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
It just talks about his life stories and how he came to this point. He took it to publishers. No one wanted it. They're like, dude, you write fantasy novels. No one's going to buy a self-help book from a fantasy novelist. So he's like, well, whatever. And so he went on Kickstarter and did it himself. And 137 people funded it. But that was all he needed in order to fund it, was 137 people funding it. They funded it, got it printed. He got it out in bookstores. It went crazy. People loved it. And then the publishers came to him and said, we want this. But then he could take his pick of who he wanted to publish it because he had proven what he had was of worth.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So he told me to remember that number. He said, remember 137. Like, that's not a lot of people. In a billion, 6 billion people on the planet, 137 isn't a lot, but it was enough to, spark this. And now this book is, thousands have been sold, changed my life, changed my family's life, led to us meeting him and changing my career. Because now my focus isn't on school. I'm not focusing on getting any degree. Right now I'm working on launching my comic books career. And I'm pursuing that all full time now. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's my cool James Owen experience that I love telling people because it's awesome and he's awesome. And he's going to help me. Like, he's my mentor now and he's going to help me with getting stuff printed and published and all that stuff. So,
Sick.
yeah. Marco, shh.
So, I guess you kind of already described what your current situation was. That's
Sorry, I can't hear you. Marco is going crazy, barking at the door. Marco! Marco, come here, buddy. Marco. 1 second, I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, well, I thought something at a bookstore. Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. So, what are you most proud of as far as your career goes? And what about outside of your career as well?
As far as my career goes, because I have little that is finished, but of my career, probably the thing I'm most proud of is Nuzruk. Just because a lot of what it represents with that whole idea of don't wait to be good. To be good, you are good. Because like Nuzruk is by no means perfect. It's like art-wise, it's actually really bad. Like in terms, it's endearing. It's very endearing, and the art but like as far as quality of artwork goes, the stuff that I actually painted, I could do a lot better now. And there's lots of people who do that a lot better than me, or have styles similar to mine that could do it a lot better. But that's not the point. The point was, even though it wasn't perfect, people still liked it. For what it was. Art is objective and all that, or subjective. And if people like it, they'll like it. And even if, normal companies or teachers or people in the industry say no one's going to like that, no one can say that until that, you put it out there and seeing if people don't like it. And a lot of people like Nuzruk
Yeah.
and bought the books and were big fans of it. And, which is a really cool, amazing thing that I was able to do that and meet so many amazing people and just see the support for it. And it was just a silly little comic. It wasn't even terribly well written. Like, it really wasn't. It was a lot of cliches, but still, people liked it. And so it's like, if you have something to give, give it. And there will be at least 137 that like it.
Okay. Let's see. What? So that's kind of. Trying to think of what other question I should ask. So, what kind of trials and weaknesses did you go through to get you where you are now, and would you change any of it?
I'm young. I haven't really gone through any trials yet. As far as my career goes, I guess now could count as a trial. I'm earning $33 a month and living at home, but
I could deal with that.
But I don't know. Like, everything in life has really led me to the point that I'm at now and at the point I'm going to get to. And it's interesting too to see how it's affected my work and how my work's affected me within those things. Because, like, for instance, Dragon Tree. Dragon Tree is a huge thing. And I've also noticed with other of my stories in the past, Heavenly Father has a nifty little thing that he does for me where he teaches me through my stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize it until my mission, but he would send me an idea and I'd start working on the idea and have some sort of concept. And then farther along, that story would teach me something important that I needed to know at that time, like later.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, before my mission, I just sort of laughed at that, going, how silly, I'm learning something from my story. I'm taking advice from my characters type of thing. How silly, because I wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
But then in my mission, it really occurred to me that, like, no, this was revelation. This was God speaking to me, and he knew I wouldn't get certain messages unless he packaged it with Pokemon or dragons.
Yeah.
And so he very kindly did so and did it in a way that I could then share those things with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and that's what this whole current story, Dragon Tree, is about, is just that aspect of it. Because Dragon Tree was an idea that a very large aspect of it really helped me in my mission, because I started working on that story idea while I was on my mission, and it ended up teaching me one of the most important lessons from my mission, which is a very long story and a little bit too long to get into. But, so that in and of itself, that was a huge experience. But then even now, like, as I started working on this story, doing the pages for it, the story is practically written. I have it all roughly written out in a script, but just separated into chapters.
Yeah.
And the main theme of Dragon Tree is about loss and it's about loss, forgiveness, and how we move towards the future. Which is, when you go through life, you lose things, whether it's your past, whether it's the relationships you had, whether it's home, whether it's, things are lost as you get older and as you pass through life.
Mm-hmm.
And the story of Dragon Tree is about how that's not only part of life, but how we can rise to the future and create the future that we want. And the importance of learning from the past, but letting it go and not dwelling there, and making the most of the present to then create that future. And then, hilariously, I was engaged and now I'm not, which was an incredibly devastating experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was Patrick that broke things off.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't understand why. There really wasn't much reason for it. And through talking with other people who then talked with him, a lot of more understanding and closure has come from that. But it's still something that I deal with every day, that I lost that, which is then incredibly, poignant, though, that I'm working on this story, Dragon Tree, and it's been such a helpmeet to me, because it's about dealing with loss. It's about moving forward. It's about finding new Dragon Tree. and that the losses in our lives enable us to create the futures that we truly want, that are truly the best thing that, you know, God wants for us.
Mhm.
And so, you know, even though it's really hard and I miss him a lot and, you know, it's terrible, I can trust that good things are going to come from it, that there's a bright future that I have, that I can still choose that future regardless of the things that I'm going through.
Yeah.
So you know, as far as, so I wouldn't go back and change the trials that I've been through,
And
but
Vinny,
it's just interesting to see how my stories and my life intertwine that way, that, you know, when life is hard, my stories support me, and when, you know, when I go to make my stories, my life goes into them.
internet hug.
Thanks.
No, I think that actually covers like pretty much everything.
Ah, sweet, I'm psychic.
So yeah. Do you have anything to add?
You're amazing. Go do good things. And also, I need to talk to you about commissioning you to make some baby dragon stuffed animals at some point.
Yeah. Okay, where are you?
Because I want at least like a life-sized one of Fuzz Bucket, and then I want like 4 beanie babies of all the baby dragons, because they're precious little children and I want them. But not for a while yet. I am only making $33 a month, so.
I need to get money for fabrics that would work for that too. I mean,
Mhm.
fur. There's this fur on my Okay,
Yeah.
and like you screen all this stuff. Okay.
Sorry, what?
Oh, nothing. I think that's it. So, that's it. That's it.
Cool. So what class is this for?
This is for my English class, and we have to do this twice. So,
Cool. Tell them all to achieve their dreams.
okay. Thank you so much. I'll call you another time. Okay?
No problem. Yeah.
Good doing.
Can't hear you. Sorry.
Love you, girl.
Oh, I love you too, May. I will talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay, good job. Now I really, really hope that it's recorded. Oh my goodness.
I'll stay up here and I'll stay up until you guys make sure it's recorded.
Sorry, I have to look at me. Ah! So I've never done it while you're on this. They have new settings now to do live streaming and record it while you're live streaming. That's the best way to do it now. And when I was recording a lot of team meetings and things last year,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't. I didn't have to do it that way. So let's see. Oh, I think we have it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. So yeah, I'll have May call you if there's any problem with it, but it looks like it's playing right now. So.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Sounds good. We can never hang
Thank
up.
you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'll try to figure out how to-
These hots. There isn't.
So now this one is.